What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Grace is forced to reveal the truth about Liam's brain cancer by Finn. In The Bold and the Beautiful, John Finn Finnegan forces Grace Buckingham to tell the truth about Liam Spencer's brain cancer. Grace making it clear to Finn that they can keep this private. Grace's request for him to cover for her will horrify Finn, who will presumably already know the truth by then. That won't work for Finn, who will force Grace to accompany him to the Spencer residence so she can fully confess to Liam. When Finn appears with Grace and urges her to tell Liam the truth about his brain cancer, Hope Logan will also be there. Grace is likely to talk about how she conned Bill Spencer out of $1 million by faking Liam's tumor. Grace may think she has good reasons if she has a lot of debt and is in serious danger, but she was wrong for what she did to Liam and his family. In the meantime, Lee Finnegan will attempt to rouse Luna Nozawa from her coma. She'll promise that she won't let this end her as long as Lee keeps an eye on Luna. In Italy, Eric Forrester will give Ridge Forrester updates on the ring he saw Nick Marone holding. After Eric delivers the looming proposal news, Ridge will race to find Brooke Logan and stop this engagement. Brooke, on the back of Nick's boat, will end up in a precarious position. Brooke appears poised to plunge into the water and begin flailing around because it appears that Nick will steer it with a lot of recklessness. Logan! Ridge yells as soon as he sees Brooke in the weekly preview video, just as disaster is about to happen. Fans of BNB will soon see Ridge transform into a hero and dive right in for Brooke's sake. According to The Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge's rescue mission is coming up, so keep an eye out for all the drama. Grace is questioned nervously by Finn. The Bold and the Beautiful reveals that Grace Buckingham was questioned by John Finn Finnegan, and Eric Forrester had good reason to be concerned about the imminent engagement of Brooke Logan and Nick Marone. Eric pushed Ridge Forrester once more to choose Brooke over Taylor Hayes at the hotel in Italy. Eric portrayed Brooke as Ridge's true love and thought that Ridge had overreacted when she became CEO, which was about protecting the business. Brooke's headphones prevented her from hearing Ridge knocking on the door and yelling at her when he eventually came by Brooke's suite to speak with her. Nick was holding an engagement ring for Brooke near the water when Eric went for a walk. That was sufficient to blur Eric's vision and render him look panicked. Brooke left to meet Nick even though Eric rushed to her room and warned her not to let Nick exploit her vulnerability. Brooke waited for Nick and recalled happier times with Ridge in Italy as they communicated via text about the location. Ridge had found Brooke when Brooke returned to the present, which surprised her. Taylor was discovered when Katie Logan went to the Forrester mansion in search of Donna Logan Forrester. Katie clearly believed that Taylor's prediction that Brooke and Nick could get engaged at home was wishful thinking. Bridget Forrester went to Finn's office at the hospital, where he confirmed that he had not been able to get in touch with Grace about the strange news about Liam Spencer's surgery. However, Finn saw Grace walking by and had the opportunity to speak with her because he was determined to do so today. Grace reluctantly entered after Finn called Grace's name and said she'd been extremely busy. Grace kept things vague and acted as though she didn't have time to provide updates, despite the fact that Finn and Bridget had inquiries regarding Liam's miraculous procedure. Grace eventually persuaded Finn to trust her and quickly left. Stay tuned, because according to The Bold and the Beautiful, Grace won't be able to get away with all of her lies for very long. Revelations frequently erupt like thunder over the Los Angeles skyline in The Bold and the Beautiful. This time, the storm is brewing around Grace Buckingham and the deeply concealed truth about Liam Spencer's health. Everything begins with John Finn Finnegan's growing sense of unease regarding the bizarre sequence of events surrounding Liam's miraculous surgery and subsequent recovery. As a medical professional, Finn was unable to let go of the bleak diagnosis that a brain tumor might be terminal. Like a missing piece in a puzzle, it bothered him and lingered in the back of his mind. As a result, he knew it was time when he finally saw Grace Buckingham strolling through the hospital corridors, trying to appear casual while displaying all of the signs of guilt. There will be no more evasive assurances or distractions. This time, Finn stood in her way and firmly but calmly demanded that they speak alone. At first, Grace attempted to maintain her composure. She smiled with the tight, anxious look of someone on the verge of collapse and mumbled platitudes about how Liam was better now and that was all that mattered. She also said that she was too busy. However, Finn didn't buy it. His arms were crossed and his face remained stony. He brought up both his oath as a doctor and her duty as one to her. Grace's entire demeanor changed when she realized there was no way out. She actually pleaded with him to keep it private. That no one else had to be aware of her actions. As the truth emerged, Finn retreated in horror. She shared everything with him. How men were following her, putting her career, life, and family in jeopardy as a result of her crippling, dangerous debt. How the wealth of Bill Spencer provided an irresistible opportunity. How she fabricated Liam's diagnosis by using fake scans, misdiagnosed reports, and even persuaded Bridget, who was in a vulnerable position, to sign off on what appeared to be a legitimate diagnosis. She had promised herself that it would be brief and that she would come clean, but then she observed Bill's response. The genuine emotion. The pouring of $1 million into a hidden account that she needed so badly. Grace promised to return it. She promised to fix it. However, the lies had grown and spread like a web until she was ensnared in them, and now even she was unable to undo the damage. Finn was furious. His horror was personal as well as professional. His extended family was Liam. Grace had won his trust. And here she was, a woman who had turned Liam's life into the cruelest soap opera. However, Finn did not yell. Instead, he gave Grace a command. She would tell Liam the truth. Not behind closed doors or in an office at a hospital. At Spencer's place of residence. Today. Naturally, Grace hesitated, but Finn's unwavering moral clarity was undeniable. Grace was wringing her hands as they drove silently to Liam's house. Hope Logan was already there when they got there, a fateful turn of events. She had come to check on Liam, possibly to talk about their complicated love and shared history. But her instincts kicked in as soon as she saw Finn and Grace arrive together. There was a problem. Grace's eyes were too swollen from holding back tears, and Finn's face was too serious. Then Finn said it in a harsh and direct manner. Grace has something to say to you. About your cancer of the brain. The room stopped talking. As if gravity had doubled, the air around Liam thickened and froze. Grace stumbled her way through her confession, her face pale and her voice shaking. She told him everything, including how she tricked Bill and took advantage of everyone's grief for money and how he never had cancer. Liam's face went blank, Hope gasped, and nobody said anything for a long time. Then Liam burst into quiet devastation rather than rage. You made me believe that I was dying. My daughter was led to believe I was dying by you. Grace wept and begged for forgiveness. However, it was abundantly clear that nothing would ever be the same again. Lee Finnegan was fighting her own battle at the same time, away from the chaos of Spencer, in a tranquil medical suite. Despite still being in a coma, Luna Nozawa's face was serene and still. Lee sat next to her niece, holding her hand and encouragingly whispering to her. She was skeptical that this would be the end. She had witnessed patients recover from worse. She told Luna that she was loved and needed a lot, and that this wasn't the end of the story. Lee whispered, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. I will not let your mother down. She had promised to safeguard Luna now in a way that Poppy could not. She was also planning Luna's recovery, mental health treatment, family intervention, and anything else necessary to assist Luna in reclaiming her life deep down. Brooke Logan stood on the back of Nick Marone's boat on the glittering Italian coast, staring into the distance as the waves rolled, and she was haunted by memories of Ridge. With a ring in his pocket and a proposal in his lips, Nick, always the rogue, stood behind her. He was both charming and terrifying at the same time because he was dangerous and unpredictable. That day, Eric Forrester had seen the ring and was so stunned he couldn't speak. That had shaken him enough to run to Brooke to let her know that Nick might be manipulating her fragile heart. But before he could stop her, Brooke had already left. Eric's words now rang in Ridge's ears as he raced through the Italian streets in an attempt to reach the marina. Do not permit her to escape. Don't allow Nick to win. Ridge's ambivalence had never been greater. He had pledged his allegiance to Taylor, made promises, and attempted to convince himself that Brooke was his past, but she was always present in his heart. His heart stopped as he came around the final turn and saw the boat. The boat was swerving in the direction of deeper water as a result of Nick's careless steering. Ridge yelled her name Logan as Brooke, wind in her hair and distracted by her thoughts, teetered on the edge. Just as she was falling.